Hello, hello viewers. Now I'll tell you about the story of the Greek film Antigone. Antigone, 1960, the film of 1961. At the beginning, introduction and story of the film. Introduction. King Oedipus was a legendary king of ancient Greek mythology. He was the king of Thebes. Antigone was the daughter of King Oedipus. The story of the play and the film is based on Greek mythology. The Greek dramatist Sophocles wrote three famous tragedies dealing with the story of Oedipus and his family: Oedipus Rex, Oedipus at Colonus, and Antigone. Oedipus Rex is also known as Oedipus Tyrannus. King Oedipus of Thebes was a wise and benevolent ruler. However, as a result of a terrible prophecy, he unknowingly killed his own father and married his own mother. When the truth was eventually revealed, his life was plunged into misery. He blinded himself, left Thebes, and eventually chose a life of exile. The shadow of his tragic fate also fell heavily upon the lives of his children. Oedipus's two sons, Eteocles and Polynices, became involved in a struggle for the throne of Thebes and fought against each other. Both brothers were killed in the same battle. After their deaths, the rule of Thebes passed to their maternal uncle, Creon. Creon declared that Eteocles would receive an honorable burial, but Polynices, having fought against Thebes, was regarded as an enemy and a traitor, and his body was forbidden to be buried. Antigone, the story of the film. Oedipus's two sons, Eteocles and Polynices, became involved in a conflict over the throne of Thebes and eventually go to war against each other. Both brothers are killed in the battle, and their maternal uncle Creon becomes the new king of Thebes. As a king, Creon declares that Eteocles will be given an honorable burial. Polynices, however, had fought against Thebes, and therefore Creon orders that his body must remain unburied. He further declares that anyone who disobeys his order will face severe punishment. Antigone, the daughter of Oedipus, believes that the unwritten laws of the gods and her duty toward her dead brother are more important than the king's decree. She therefore asks her sister Ismene to help her perform the funeral rites for Polynices. Ismene, however, is frightened and refuses to take part. Antigone decides to perform the necessary religious rites for her brother by herself. She secretly carries out the burial rites for Polynices. The guards discover what she has done, arrest her, and bring her before King Creon. Creon asks Antigone whether she knowingly disobeyed the king's order. Antigone fearlessly admits that she did. She argues that no human law can stand above the eternal laws of the gods. Creon refuses to accept her argument and decides to punish her. Meanwhile, Creon's son Haemon is engaged to Antigone. Haemon tries to persuade his father that punishing Antigone would be unjust and that many people in Thebes sympathize with her. Creon, however, remains determined to enforce his decision. A bitter disagreement develops between father and son. Eventually, Creon orders Antigone to be confined alive in a stone tomb. As Antigone is taken away, she mourns her tragic fate but refuses to admit that she has done anything wrong. Meanwhile, the blind prophet Tiresias warns Creon that his decision will bring the anger of the gods upon him. At last, Tiresias' warning makes Creon realize his mistake. He rushes to arrange the proper burial of Polynices and to release Antigone, but it is already too late. Antigone is no longer alive. Haemon also suffers a tragic fate, and Creon's wife Eurydice is plunged into profound grief and tragedy. Having lost those closest to him, Creon is completely broken. In the end, Creon realizes the consequences of his error, pride, and misuse of power. He gives up the throne and leaves Thebes in exile. Thus, the film presents Antigone's moral courage and devotion to family duty while showing how Creon's stubbornness and abuse of authority bring about a devastating tragedy. The film essentially explores the conflict between human law and moral duty, political authority and individual conscience, and family love and obligation, presenting them through a deeply tragic story. Note: this writing is by no means intended to be a substitute for the film or its story. It is merely a brief attempt to introduce the film. I hope that those who are interested will find time and opportunity to watch the film themselves. Thank you all.